Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to your communication skills class again. We are back again with presentation skills class and presentation skills practices, where we are seeing that how you can work on your speaking skills as to make sure that how you can present in front of business communicators. Today's session is again about non-verbal communication in presentations, since you know that we are particularly talking about the presentation skills. Along with your verbal communication, your non-verbal communication is also another very important thing during your presentation that should be addressed properly, so that you can deliver your presentation effectively in front of the number of the audiences. So before we actually begin with today's lecture, let's quickly see that what we have done in our previous lecture. So last lecture basically had its full concentration on the process of making the presentation. So last lecture basically focused on the process of making the presentation, which basically has been divided into three parts: creation, preparation, and presentation. So these are the three things that you are supposed to focus on during your presentation, that we have also discussed thoroughly in our previous lecture. So how to prepare, make and deliver your presentation effectively was the question of our previous lecture, that we have also very well answered, and we have helped ourselves see that what exactly you are supposed to do while you are creating your presentation, analyzing your objectives and your goals for the presentation, analyzing your audiences, selecting a topic, selecting the or making the outline for your presentation, selecting a PowerPoint tool for your presentation, selecting a design, and how you're supposed to insert material in your presentation, selecting a contrast for your presentation, and everything, so that you have once created with your presentation, you may prepare yourself for your presentation by having the proper rehearsal sessions, by checking your time management, by proofreading your presentation, and by seeing your presentation from the distance. Then how you're supposed to present your presentation in front of the audiences, that we have also defined and well addressed in our previous lecture, that how you're supposed to appear in front of the audiences on that very spot, or on that very scenario where you are supposed to actually deliver the presentation. So that was a quick recap to our previous lecture. Today's lecture is another exciting episode of presentation skills. Now let's begin with that. So before actually we begin with that how exactly you are supposed to overcome or how exactly you are supposed to work on your non-verbal communication during your presentation, it is really very important that we have a quick introduction to communication. Communication is the general process of sending and receiving messages. These messages enable humans to share knowledge, attitudes and skills. So communication, as we have also defined in our very previous or in our very first lecture, that our communication is basically between two individuals or more than two individuals. Information is coming from one person, that is the sender, to the person who is the receiver, through a proper channel. Now this person is sending this information maybe through two modes. One can be verbal communication and the other one can be non-verbal communication. Now that non-verbal communication is the focus of our today's presentation and our today's discussion, that how your non-verbal messages can be conveyed to your audiences or to your receiver, that can make the receiver interrupt the message differently. So moving on to the next point, communication is basically composed of two dimensions, as I have told you already. Now for the better understanding, let's try to elaborate that with the help of a picture. Now if this is going to be your sender, this is your sender, and he or she is sending a message to another person who is the receiver. Now this message, now what exactly they are doing? They are exchanging a message. Now this message can be divided into two categories. One is non-verbal and the other one is verbal. Now, if you recall and if you remember, non-verbal communication has something to do with your physical appearance, your hand movements, your facial expressions, your eye contact, kind of the gestures that you, give to the next person. If you are angry, your facial expressions would automatically tell the next person that you are not comfortable with whatever they are doing. Verbal communication has something to do with conversing your ideas and your feelings through words. Now, in today's lecture, in today's discussion, our main focus is to work on the non-verbal behavior that one has to or one must focus on for making them the good presenters. Now, presentation skills, conversational skills, and writing skills are the three keys to effective communication. Now, your presentation skills, your conversational skills, and your writing skills, they go simultaneously in your verbal communication. The lecture defines some tips for using non-verbal communication to improve your presentation. So, your written communication is aside, your verbal communication is aside, we are today going to focus on your non-verbal communication. There are three components of communication. That's just a quick recap of what we have done in our previous lecture in case you are forgetting. Verbal messages are those kind of the messages, the words that we choose for conveying our message or conveying our thought to the next person. Paraverbal messages are those kind of the messages, how we say those words, what kind of the tone we are saying them in, the kind of the pitch and fall on the words, the kind of the stress on the words that are being selected for conveying your message to the concerned. Non-verbal messages are basically our body language, our facial expressions, our hand movements, our foot movements, the way we move, the way we exchange our feelings non-verbally through our eye contact, maybe through our body movement, maybe through our poise, the way you are sitting. Every single thing, whatever we are doing, is conveying something to the next person. If I say, now this movement of my hand would automatically tell you that I am saying no, although I am not saying it through words. So non-verbal messages are basically universal. Universally they are accepted and universally they are being interpreted by individual, from individual to individual. Verbal messages are effective. Verbal messages are brief, they are concise, and they are organized. So verbal messages are supposed to be very, very brief, crisp down, concise, and they are supposed to occur in a very organized way as compared to the non-verbal messages. Or non-verbal messages, during the non-verbal messages, you're not supposed to, take care of the organization of the message. They are free of jargons, abbreviations, and acronyms, and they do not create resistance in the listener. Sometimes non-verbal messages, they can create resistance in the listener, and verbal messages, they do not create, they do not create resistance in the listeners. There are some categories in non-verbal messages. That one we are going to talk today. Facial expressions, as you can see this face, as you can see this face, and you can see this face. He looks angry, kind of. He looks like blocked up, and he looks happy. Your face basically, or your facial expressions, your face can lit up with once you are enthusiastic about something. So this enthusiasm has something to do with, making your face lit up with energy. You're being energetic about something, you're so energetic about something, and your face is automatically telling that. With the approval of something, you want to go out and have a party with your friends, and your mother gives you permission, and with that very approval, your face is glowing. Express confusion or boredom. Sometimes when you are really very tired, your face would be reflecting that. Sometimes once you are confused about something, your face would automatically tell it to the other people. Sometimes your face is, it also frowns with displeasure. If you are displeased with something, your eyes telegraphing joy. Eyes are, best communicators of your heart. So your eyes sometimes are also communicating to the next person. You can also, your face can also express the sadness, it can also express the anger and confusion, the tiredness. Everything is being reflected through your face and your eyes. So this is the first category of non-verbal message, that is facial expression. Your facial expressions, either you are happy or you are sad, you are glowing or you are sparking, you are crying or you are at the verge of tears, everything would be reflected through your face. The next person would automatically understand that what kind of the inside verbal messages or inner verbal communication you are going through while just looking at your non-verbal communication, that is your facial expressions. Now moving on to the next category in verbal, non-verbal messages, that is posture and gestures. The way you stand and the way you move your legs and your hands. So this is what you call gestures and postures. Your poise, the way you are standing or the way you are sitting. Now if you see these two figures, the first one has got these closed arms and the other one has got the open arms. This one looks the warm openness and the feeling of anticipation is coming from this very person. And if you look at this one, the one who has got his arms closed, he reveals or he shows the cold rejection, and there is a feeling of inflexibility coming from this kind of a posture or gesture that the second person is giving. So the way you stand in front of the people, if you have your arms outside, the people would feel that you are welcoming to them, and it reveals the warm openness to them. And if you have your arms, if you have your hands like this, or if you have your arms closed, so sometimes it gives the cold rejection or feeling of inflexibility to the next person. Third category of the messages of the components of communication is paraverbal messages, messages that we transmit through the tone, pitch and the pacing of our voices. So our voices, they do not move in the monotone. Our pace or pitch of the voices, it keep on varying. So it is how we say something and what we say. So not what we say. Whatever we are saying is known as our verbal messages, but how we are actually saying it is known as our paraverbal messages. Like this is only one sentence which is being said in different ways. So the way how you are saying it makes a lot of difference. How it has got stress on everything. Like if we read these sentences all together, my stress would be on the words which are written in bold. Now for the first one, I didn't say you were stupid. For the second one, I didn't say you were stupid. I didn't say you were stupid. So the stress on the different words would automatically change the structure of the whole sentence. This is what you call paraverbal messages that we have also discussed thoroughly in our previous lecture. Now, according to the social anthropologist Edward T. Hall, in a normal conversation between two persons, less than 35% of the social meanings is actually transmitted by words. So at least 65% of it is conveyed through body. So that is your non-verbal channel. So if that is 65% of the non-verbal communication, it means that you are supposed to be very, very careful about your non-verbal behavior once you are talking to someone whom you are meeting for the first time maybe, or whom you are talking for the business purposes. Being the business administrators, you are supposed to take care of your body language a lot, because that would reveal or that would clearly depict to the next person that what exactly you are doing and what exactly and how you are going to go about things. So 65% means that you are supposed to get the passing marks for conveying your ideas to the next person. So if you want to pass your test, make sure that your non-verbal behavior is strong enough during the presentations or in the business scenario, whatever the situation is going to be. Now let's define the definition of the non-verbal communication. That's a non-spoken context within where all face-to-face communication takes place. So we define it as a non-spoken context with face-to-face communication, where there are no words available or where there are no words provided to convey your ideas and your feelings. Every conscious or subconscious behavior is covered with meaning, without which all the verbal communication would be ambiguous. So your conscious and subconscious behavior is basically what you call your non-verbal behavior. You are either consciously doing it, or whether you are non-consciously doing it. Some of us are in a habit of nail biting. So you don't do it deliberately, or you don't do it consciously. That's a non-verbal behavior that automatically would tell the audiences that you are basically tense about something, or you are in a deep thought. That doesn't mean that you are so fond of eating or biting your nails. So this is one unconscious behavior that would automatically tell the next person that how exactly you are feeling about the situation. So non-verbal communication includes basically your pitch of the voice, the speed, the tone, the voice volume, the gestures, the facial expressions, the body posture, the stance and the attitude, eye movements, and the dress and the appearances. All of these things are basically added in your non-verbal communication and in your non-verbal behavior. It also includes the touch, glance, vocal tone, pause or silence, intonation, smell, word choice and syntax, and sounds of the paralanguage. So all of them, they are being involved in your non-verbal communication, and you are supposed to be very, very careful about all these things. Now we are going to discuss each one of them in detail. Before we actually start it, let's see that have you ever heard anyone say his actions spoke so loudly I couldn't hear what he said? Yes, we must have had listened to those people. Some people, making two kinds of the behaviors. One is non-verbal behavior, which is more stronger than their verbal communication. I would help you, saying I would help you, and their body language is kind of really very uncomfortable. That tells that they will not, or they are not interested in helping you. So sometimes their actions would speak louder than words that they are choosing for communicating. Now if you see on the slide, that's non-verbal behavior, and there are some kinds of the non-verbal behaviors with the interpretations that are being described right in front of them. If you have the brisk or the erect walk, it would depict your confidence on yourself. It means that you are confident about your personality and about your grooming. Standing with hands on your hips, it means, or it depicts, this non-verbal behavior depicts the aggression or the readiness towards something. Sitting with legs crossed or foot kicking slightly is basically revealing the boredom or tiredness. Sitting with legs apart, which means that you are open and you are welcoming and you are relaxed. Arms crossed on chest, which is basically showing the defensiveness, and walking with hands in pockets, shoulder hunched, is basically showing the dejection of someone. Like this, which basically shows the dejection of someone who is non-verbally communicating with the next person. Now there is a small exercise, and I hope that you are going to enjoy it a lot. I hope that you are ready to get this exercise solved. So if you see this kind of a hand, what would you feel, and what would your interpretation would be? There would be a lot of interpretations. Can I help? Trust me. You are in good hands. Or it can be a helping hand that comes towards you. So this is how one kind of a hand can be interpreted in different ways by different people. So what does this small boy telling you? He looks like dejected, disappointed, or he has lost the game. So different kind of the body postures or your non-verbal behavior tells a lot to the people. Now this figure, this womanly figure, is what is she explaining or trying to do? Maybe she's saying, so tell me more, or maybe she's kind of very open to discuss things. Maybe she's accepting something, or maybe she is welcoming someone. So there are a lot of interpretations of the single picture that is displayed right in front of you. Now, how to work on the non-verbal communication during presentation. Since you know that we are working on our presentation skills, so we must make sure that we must see that how to work on the non-verbal communication during our presentations. How you can avoid that kind of a non-verbal behavior which may cause difficulties for your audience's understanding. Your first impressions, whatever your first impression is, that should be strong enough for your audiences to see that what exactly you are going to talk about. Now, through your non-verbal behavior, you are going to give them the strong first impression. You have only a few seconds to make a good impression. So make your audiences at the center of the universe. Face them, look at them with a smiling face, give direct eye contact. Now we are talking about the non-verbal behavior. Try to face them, do not look embarrassed or do not look dejected or do not look panicked. Try to face them and give direct eye contact or look into their eye. Your palms should be outwards. Do not move like your hands crossed or your palms towards inside. Your palms should be, outwards. Open arms. Do not close your arms or do not wrap your arms around. Try to, make sure that your arms are open. A big smile and a firm one. Do not do that you are going to show them your teeth. Rather than you are going to have a smile, a big smile on their face once you are greeting them or once you are, trying to meet them or greet them. But do not bone-crushing handshake. That doesn't mean that you are going to have a handshake with them that is going to crush their bones out. It means that you are going to have a very warm handshake with them. Now, handshake, your smile, your arms, your palms, your eye contact, and your face. All of them are basically the part of your non-verbal behavior that should be strong enough for making your first impression. So once you have worked on your face, your palms, your arms, your eye contact, everything, now make sure that your first impression is also about your dress, that's also about your hair, that's also about your shoes, and that's also about your air of confidence. Be aware that others are rushing to judgment about you, especially important if you are going for a presentation. So the way you are dressed up would really matter. Don't ever go in the shalwar kameez on the day of the presentation, because there would be the varieties of the people who would be coming for listening to you. Your dressing, your hairdo, your shoes, your air of confidence should be strong enough to convince the reader. Dress up for the occasion. That doesn't mean that you are going to wear the most expensive dress. That means that you are going to dress up decently for the occasion. If that's going to be a presentation, of course, guys are supposed to, wear a three-piece, and the girls, they must look decent for the occasion. Your eye contact helps indicate your interest in the people or in the audiences. So through your eyes you would reach the interest of your audiences. So your eye contact must be strong enough for your audiences. It would increase your credibility. You are credible. You are basically incredible. You are supposed to indicate through your eyes that you are so much sparking and you are looking at them with confidence, and also that you are ready for delivering your presentation. When you make eye contact with people in the audiences, you increase your chances of getting your message across. So your eye contact during you are talking or during you are before you are making out your speech is really very important. It helps you see everyone and make sure that everyone would respond back to you. Because if you are continuously looking at one thing or one person, that might give an impression to other audiences that you are not talking to them. So try to make sure that you rotate your eye contact throughout the hall and try to see each and every person, just like that you are moving your eyes from one corner to the other, so that everyone, they get attentive that you are having an eye on them. So this eye contact is really very important. Eye contact would also help you establish a connection with the audiences. So it will also help you establish a strong connection with your audiences. When you make eye contact with people as you are speaking, you build one-to-one bonds with them. So your eye contact, you are looking at someone and someone is looking back at you. It means that you have got a bond. So this bond should not be separated, and that should carry on, and that should, you know, go on throughout the presentation. So for making the first impression, after you have made the first impression, make sure that you work on your eye contact a lot. Smiles are powerful. You must smile for your audiences. That doesn't mean that you are smiling or you are laughing. It means that try to keep a smile on your face when you are speaking. You should not look angry. You should not look detached. You should not look annoyed. At least you should look friendly. In other words, it means that keeping a smile on your face must make you look friendly. Smiling makes a speaker more warm, likable, and friendly. So if the person is smiling, it means that the person is more friendly, the person is more warm and likable. When you smile, people see you as happy and confident, and this makes them respect you more. So this is how you can just use the tool, this non-verbal tool of the smile to attract or to grab the attention of the audiences. People react positively to the smiles. If you look like kind of aggressive, or if you look kind of, detached, or you don't look happy, so people won't take it positively. When you smile, the audience smile, and the smile audience is respective audience. So once you are smiling, of course your audience would also be smiling, because that would give a good air or a good environment to them. Smiling will help you get your points across and accepted. So whatever you are saying, just say it with smile so that your points are accepted, your points are welcomed, and they are properly respected by the audiences. Now the next thing that you are supposed to take care of during your non-verbal behavior is the gestures. Now gestures are another important form of non-verbal communication, but you have to be very careful with the gestures. First of all, you are supposed to practice your talks in front of a mirror. Now that you have learned that how to smile in front of the audiences, now let's work on your gestures. Now gestures are basically another important form of non-verbal communication, but you have to be very careful with your gestures once you are presenting in front of the audiences. And how you can take care of your gestures is that practice your talks in front of the mirror. Basically, your gestures have something to do with the poise, the way you are standing or sitting in front of the audiences. Try to see that what kind of the gestures you are giving them once you are standing in front of the mirror. Once you are rehearsing, see your recording, try to see that what kind of the gestures you are giving them. Either that's going to be your hand movements, or they are going to be the way you are walking, the way you are standing, or the way you are moving. Watch your natural gestures. Whatever is coming naturally to them, try to see them and try to focus on them. Then enhance them. Your natural gestures should be strong enough as compared to the gestures that you have copied, either copied of someone, or you are if you are being inspired by someone and you are just copying their gestures. Then strengthen your gestures, your personal or your natural gestures, and try to work on them. Try to see that how you can improve them and how you can make them stronger. Big rooms demand big gestures. So bigger the room is going to be, your gestures are also going to be very, very big. However, tone them down depending on the audiences. Do not say that I will do that, I have this thing for you. That doesn't mean that you are going to over react with presenting the big gestures. It means that your gestures should be seeable, or your gestures should be your audiences can see your gestures simultaneously. It also depends on the audiences. If that's the young lot, or if that's that kind of a lot who is more energetic about whatever you are saying, your gestures would be more open and more welcoming and more big. Rather, if your audiences are wearing or they are coming from the versatile or different backgrounds, your gestures may differ from situation to situation. Making your gestures natural and reflective of what you are saying. So they should be natural and also reflective of whatever you are saying. Try to avoid choppy, sudden gestures when you are speaking. Focus on making your gestures fluid. So the fluid they are going to be, the more easily they would be going towards your audiences, and your audiences would automatically be welcoming them. Your posture and your body orientation is another thing that should be properly addressed in your non-verbal communication. Posture is the poise, the way you are standing, and your body orientation, the kind of the stuff that you are going to present in front of the audiences. Always stand up straight and look directly at the audience. It indicates confidence. So standing straight like this with your shoulders straight, just like a hanger, you should stand up straight and look directly at the audiences. It would indicate your confidence. Your body orientation and your posture would be revealing your confidence to your audiences. Slumped shoulders and facing towards the floor is not a very good impression, or is not a very good posture of yours, like this. So it doesn't convey a very good idea to the audiences. You will not, or you will never look confident to your audiences if you are standing in that very posture. If you are using slides, speak to the audiences, not to the slide. So your posture, you should not turn your back towards your audiences. You must look at your audiences and just use your slides as a guide. It's okay to look at the slide, especially if you want to draw the audience's attention to it, but always turn back to the audience after a few seconds. So if you have something to explain to the audience from the slide, make sure that from time to time you would keep on looking at the audiences around. That doesn't mean that if you are explaining something to the audiences, you totally turn your back towards the slides and you forget about the audiences and you keep on explaining each and everything, and once you realize that my slide is finished, and when you turn back all audiences are gone. Oh my god, what has happened? You should not do like that. Your posture and body orientation should be attentive enough, should be straight enough, and should be direct enough for your audiences that you must look confident, and you must involve all the audiences into your conversation. Tall and erect communicates energy. Now, tall and erect means that you are standing tall. That doesn't mean that you are start wearing heels. It means that you are standing straight and tall. It means that you are confident. It communicates energy and purpose, whereas slouched and hunched implies tired and lacking energy. So if you want to look energetic during your presentation, make sure that you look tall to your audiences. Looking up is generally regarded as indicative of optimism, whilst persistently looking downward suggests secrecy and insecurity. So try to look up. Try to lit up your eyes with the enthusiasm and with confidence. If you have a dull and low kind of this looking and this body orientation, that would reveal secrecy and insecurity coming from the audiences towards you. Now coming towards the hands and arms, that's another non-verbal behavior that should be properly addressed. There are some guidelines for making making the use of your hands and arms. Palms turned outwards implies warmth and friendship, like this. So if you have your arms like this, it means that you are not very friendly and you are not really warm and welcoming. Don't point. It is aggressive and perceived as such, especially if you do it as in an irritative way. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? So if pointing towards someone with your finger or with your hand would be really very irritative for someone, because people would get irritated with whatever you are saying. Gordon Brown uses his hand a lot, but he will gesture with the backs of the hand turned towards the audiences in a way is suggestive of giving. So like this, like you are providing something. We provide you this, we provide you that. That doesn't mean I will give you this, I will give you that. It means that you are kind of, suggesting them something. My suggestion is, or I would say, so these kind of hand movements or these kind of, movements of your fingers should be strongly taken care of. Tony Blair would pull his fingers together to point and make slight movements. Now Tony Blair would do like, put his fingers together and make a slight movement going towards something, or maybe just to make a point. So my point is, and I want to draw my attention to the fact that, so these kind of, hand movements accompanied with the words would give you the strong clue that what the presenter is saying and what the presenter is talking about. Proximity, that many speakers get away from the platform and walk the room. Proximity is the distance between the audiences and the presenter. So there are a few presenters who are fond enough of moving from, or just leaving the platform or the stage and then moving around the audiences just to make sure that the audiences, they are involved in the presentation. This means that they get up close and personal with the people in the audiences. So for getting up close and personal with the audiences is what you call leaving your actual place and moving with them, or moving between them, just to remove this proximity level. Use of wireless device to advance slides. So as you are moving between the audiences, or as you get up and get closer with them, or get away from the platform and walk in the room, these devices, these wireless devices of just advancing the slide, like moving your slides from one to the previous one or one to the next one, you may use these wireless devices. People feel that you are part of them, instead of just looking at them and sitting idly and not responding to them, not responding to you. People would feel that you are part of them, and all of them, they have designed the presentation and they are part of it. Having conversation with them, sometimes just removing this proximity level and then walking between them, it can also provide you the room for the conversation with them. It would appear more natural as compared to that you have especially designed for the presentation and you are the presenter who is just standing on the stage. So try to work on the proximity. Also, once you talk about the non-verbal behavior or improving the non-verbal behavior during the presentations. Be aware of the space between you and the other. That doesn't mean that you are going to put your hand on someone's shoulder, or you are going to get closer. If you are a male, you may go and get closer to the females. They might get annoyed with that, because cultural norms vary between country, and they are also very different for friends and strangers and children versus adults. So every or anyone may like a child coming closer to them and getting friendly with them, but that may differ for the adults. Friends may communicate with their friends in any way, but with the strangers they are supposed to be careful. If someone is backing away from you, then you are too close to them. So this clearly indicates that you are not going to go very close to someone, like putting your hand on someone's shoulder, maybe just lying to someone's desk like this. So that's not going to give you a very good impression. So once you talk about proximity or the distance between you and your audiences, make sure that that's not close enough that can make your audiences uncomfortable with your presence in them. Now, your voice is another tool of your non-verbal behavior. Be animated. Avoid speaking in the monotone. That has something to do with the para-verbal communication. That is also one part of your non-verbal communication. Show excitement for the material with your voice. So the thrill in your voice would automatically tell your audiences that how much interesting this part of the presentation is. Always practice talks out loud. Once you are rehearsing in front of the mirror, make sure that your practice would or shall occur in a very loud voice. It will improve your impact with the audiences. So your impact would be your impact on the audiences would be polished and would be delivered properly. Using your arms in an animated way can bring energy, can bring enthusiasm, and can bring a bit of fun to the proceedings. So animations with your arms, that doesn't mean that here comes the product of the year. I want to present in front of you the product of the year. Now this kind of the animation with your arms and with your hands can also bring this non-verbal behavior can also bring a fun or a bit of fun in your proceedings before you actually begin your presentation. Use your body language as a tool, not as the whole communication of your presentation. Basically, your words should be strong enough to grab the attention of the audiences. But as we said, that's 35 and 65% of the whole division of verbal and non-verbal communication. Your body language should be used as a tool or a proper indicator for your audiences. Avoid nodding and eye contact is especially useful to indicate interest. Active nodding and eye contact is especially useful to indicate interest when someone else is speaking. So keep on nodding your head if you are the part of the audiences, and your eye contact should be strong enough with them as to make sure that you are listening to them, either you agree with them or you are understanding them. If your friend is speaking and you are doodling, yawning, looking around aimlessly or reading notes, then it undermines their credibility. So just to look at the everyday situation, just look around. That if you are talking to your friend, or if your friend is talking to you and you are looking around and you are doodling, like making pictures on the paper, and sometimes you are looking around aimlessly, or you are reading notes, or maybe you are playing with your cell phone, that would reduce their credibility. They would feel that you are not interested. Now take the same situation on yourself. If you are continuously talking to someone and they are doodling, they are yawning, you are presenting basically, and the audiences, they are doodling, they are yawning, they are looking outside the window, they are playing with their cell phone, or they are reading their notes, it means that they are challenging your credibility. It maybe undermine your credibility, and you might have to improve the way you are presenting the whatever topic you are supposed to deliver in front of them. So in other words, you're nodding, make sure that you listen to the other people so that they can listen to you. Make sure that you have got a good eye contact with the other people, with the friendly and smiling face, so that they can reply back to you with the same one. Now another step that you are supposed to see while using your body language as a tool is to need to be a boss. Why do you need to be a boss? Be the first to offer a handshake, the last to go through the door. You don't have to, once you are going to present something for your audiences, it means that that's your thing, and you are supposed to become the host, not become the guest, or do not become the boss, the one who appears at the end and leaves early. You are the host of the occasion, so try to arrive early, try to welcome people, try to have a good handshake with them, try to be the first on the floor to handshake, to welcome, and be the last one to shut the door for everyone. Put yourself at the head of the table, head up with the purposeful manner. So you are the one who is chairing the whole meeting, and let everyone get comfortable with their seats and with their surroundings. You need to sweet talk your audiences. Does that mean that your body language should be used in a way that you are talking so sweetly with your audiences? Make them feel in control. Give them the best seat and the position, and use soft and smiley body language. So this is how you can use the best possible body language that can be used as a tool for your audiences. Mirroring tactics can create empathy, like signal similarity, show that you have something in common. The things that you know, there should be a proper, there should be a signal that must show the similarity between you and your audiences, that both of you are human beings. Everyone likes dealing with people they can empathize with. So there should be anything or something that should be common between you and your audiences, that should be depicted through your non-verbal behavior. Once you are talking and once you are, actually you are delivering your presentation, try to see that if you are doing, if you are happy or if you are excited about something, your audiences also are. So this non-verbal communication would also depict the similarity. That was just one example. There can be so many other examples that can signal similarity between you and your audiences. Make every new non-verbal approach, your dress code, your formality of manner, your presentation style, and you precisely reflect your audiences. Your dress code, the way you are standing, the kind of the things that you are wearing in your hand, any jewelry, your hairdo, try to be the part of the audiences who are around you. If you would look like an alien with the manner of with the formality of manner, with the dress code, with the presentation style, your audiences may get annoyed, or they may get they may not feel or find you amongst themselves. They might find you an alien. So sometimes there can be this detachment between you and your audiences. Mirroring tactics can create empathy for synchronizing with the other party. It's true that matching others' movements make them feel in sync with you. So try to move with the movements of your audiences. If they are yawning, try to bring in something interesting. Just don't make it too obvious to your audiences. Instead, nod when they are emphasizing an important point, or smile when their words indicate pleasure. So do not overreact towards something. If they are emphasizing on the important point, nod for them so that they can nod back at you once you are making an important point. Smile if they are using the words of pleasure, so that if you are using the same, they may smile at you also. Sincerity is another thing that should be properly addressed during the presentations. Now, how you can reveal this sincerity through your non-verbal behavior? People will judge you sincere if they think you are listening to them. So there are turns in the presentation. If you had been listening to someone's presentation earlier and here comes your turn, and you had been listening to them really carefully, and you had been really being responsive during their presentations, they would listen back to you once your turns come. So look for signs that someone wants to speak and invite them to contribute. For example, politicians sometimes touch their heart to underpin their sincerity or commitment to a key point. I will do that. This is my player coming here. So touching their heart reveals the sincerity. Don't overplay this though, or it will look cheesy and completely insincere. I will do this, I will do that, I am here to help you. That looks like kind of overreaction or over show of the thoughts that are being revealed. Rather it looks like an insincere thing, like a politician. Now, reading tells us quite often closed expression and gestures, leaning back, closed body language, folded arms, which suggest the audience may be bored, they may be unconvinced, or whereas open body language and leaning forward suggests interest. The word to remember here is may. Reading body language is not science of certainty. So it may vary from person to person, or it may vary from situation to situation, depending on the interpretation of the next person, whosoever is going to interrupt or interpret whatever you are saying. For reading the audiences, do not quickly rush to the conclusions. Be cautious of reading too much into innocent gesture. So like folded arms, for example, may simply mean that someone in the audience is cold or likes the folded arms. So sometimes if someone has the folded arms and yet they are listening to you, that doesn't mean that they are cold or rejecting kind of the audiences. They may also mean that they are fond of or they like to fold their arms while listening to someone. Look for groups of gestures. If someone has angled their body away from you, is looking out of the window, and then yes, you may well have lost their interest. So try to look for the groups of gestures. If someone is looking outside the window and all of the other people, they are nodding at you, it means that only that person has lost his interest. That doesn't mean that everyone in the whole situation, in the whole audiences have lost their interest towards your presentations. So try to look for the group of gestures and you may move accordingly to your next gestures, and do not quickly rush to the conclusions. If you use these non-verbal communication ideas, you will become someone whose presentations carry an impact, and you'll be on your way to career and life success. So that's the art of today. That brings us to the end of today's lecture. I hope that you must have learned a lot from the non-verbal behaviors or the non-verbal expressions that we have talked about today. We actually begin with the introduction to communication. Our communication cycle basically begins with the sender, the one who is sending the message. Your message that is being delivered through a proper channel to the receiver. Now that message may be a verbal one, or maybe a non-verbal one, or maybe a para-verbal one that we have also discussed in the beginning of the presentation. We have also helped ourselves define the non-verbal communication in detail, and we have also practiced one exercise so that you can understand that what is this non-verbal communication. How to work on the non-verbal communication during presentations was basically our main focus, that how you can, basically work on your non-verbal behavior, like giving the first impressions to your audiences. Your first impressions should be strong enough so that the audiences, they can be impressed by you. You must look confident, and how you must look confident has been thoroughly explained to you today. Look tall, look confident. Your eye contact should be really very strong. You must be smiling. That doesn't mean that you are going to put all your teeth out in front of your audiences. It means that you are going to have a slight smile on your face, because smile that can win different hearts. Your body postures and your orientation, the way you are standing in front of the audiences, that really matters a lot. Your palms should be outside, not inwards. Your hands and your arms should be outwards. They should not be closed. Your eye contact, your hairdo, the way you have dressed up for the occasion, your hands and your arms really matter a lot. Do not put animations, a lot of animations, because that would look like an overshow. But of course, use your arms and your hand movements in an animative way once you are going to actually begin with your presentation. The level of proximity, the distance between yourself and your audiences, try to be the part of your audiences, try to be one of them, but do not get real closer to someone. It means that if they are getting away from you, it means that you are really close to them. Your voice should not be monotonous. There should be a variation in your voice using the paraverbal features. There should be animations and thrilling in your voice. That's kind of a non-verbal behavior. Your body language must be used as a tool. That should be welcoming, and that should be moving with your presentation. Sincerity with your non-verbal behavior, your eye contact, your hand movements, your facial expressions, and also help yourself read the audiences and not for them, smile for them, so that later on they can smile at you also. So I hope that you must have learned something, and you must have learned that how you are supposed to work on your non-verbal communication during your presentations, and how you can make yourself good presenters of the day. Since this is your business communication skills class and our main focus is making you good communicators and good presenters, till now we have made sure that you understand each and every term that comes under whole course of your presentation skills, your communication skills, like beginning with your speaking skills, your reading skills, your writing, and then your speaking. We would make sure that you learn each and everything that is most possible or that is to happen to occur in your communication and making you good business communicators. So with that, here is a list of references from where the material was being taken for you and from where the information was being downloaded. I am Anila Noshin signing out from here again. I'll see you in the next class with another exciting episode of presentation skills. We would make sure that you see some of the samples of good presentations as to see that how you can improve your presentations and how you can deliver your presentations and how you can make them effective for your audiences. So this was how you can improve your non-verbal behavior. I'll see you in the next class again. Till then, take very good care of yourself. Allah Hafiz.